Hello, everyone, and thank you for checking out this video about the CSU McNair Scholars Program. My name is Joel Orozco, and I will be sharing the information in this video. So just to kind of get us started, a little overview we're going to be covering today would be some information about Dr. Ronald McNair to learn a little bit about who he was and why the program was named after their efforts. We will also be looking into the McNair Scholars Program at CSU in terms of what it looks like and what it looks like here at CSU specifically, as is a nationwide program. We will go over the benefits of joining the program, a timeline of the scholar experience. So usually students join during like their first year and their junior, not their first year, but their junior and sophomore year. So we said like year one and year two. I will also share some information about the actual application process, and then just maybe share some next steps and recommendations as you think about submitting an application. So let's begin. So Dr. Ronald McNair was an astronaut who went on a mission. Unfortunately, the mission was not successful, and folks who went on that mission did not make it. This happened on January 28th, 1986. So essentially, the Congress was able to create an endowment and was able to name it on behalf of Dr. Ronald McNair to be able to encourage participants that come from historically underrepresented backgrounds, from first generation, to be able to pursue degrees past their undergraduate experience and pursue graduate degrees. So the program was named after Dr. Ronald McNair. And speaking about McNair Scholars here at CSU, so we are a grant-funded program that is housed under the Academic Advancement Center here at Colorado State University. And really the goal of McNair overall goals is very similar to kind of what I mentioned earlier, and which is to be able to get students from historically underrepresented backgrounds to be able to pursue those graduate degrees, and whether it's like in STEM or non-STEM, with the ultimate goal to get a PhD. Here at CSU, we serve 25 scholars every academic year. So we are a cohort-based model that provides a holistic approach from academic, financial, and overall wellness approach to like our scholars who join the program. And it is a highly regarded graduate program preparation to be able to go into graduate school, which I will explore and share a little more kind of what that looks like in terms of like participation of like year one and year two. So for now, I'd like to just share with you kind of the characteristics of who our McNair scholars are. So they do come from a very various majors and academic interests. So we don't have one specific major that both are in the program or that is needed to qualify for the program to begin with. Some of them have done some previous research experience, some of them haven't, and that is also not a requirement to be able to join McNair, as the scholars get exposed to do research actually by joining the McNair program. So they all walk away with doing some type of research after going through the program. These are individuals who are highly motivated and committed to engaging in academic research, especially, a big part of the grad school experience is conducting research. So a lot of them know and are going into like being able to conduct the research and academic rigorous components, if you will. And the other pieces that they have all, have been committed to and determined to attend grad school and be accepted and going immediately after CSU graduation from the undergraduate experience, as that is one of the eligibility and requirements to join the program. And the last one, so these are individuals who are ambitious, self-starters, initiators, and goal-oriented. So while we do provide, the mentorship and the funding and some one-on-one support, ultimately a lot of the work is the work that scholars have to do themselves. So we provide a lot of resources, but ultimately it is up to the scholars to be able to fulfill those requirements. As far as the program component, so just kind of overarching theme. So we have this component of being holistic academic support, not only just academic, but just overall wellness. We do have them to go through required meetings, as that's the way that they're able to meet those objectives for the program, but also fulfill what I would say their to put things on their toolbox, if you will. There's some component of grad preparation. We have some workshops, seminars, and some required events that are in line of, getting prep for grad school. And then, like I mentioned, that research experience and getting a pair up with the faculty mentor to help guide that research component. So let me just go a little bit more into like detail on that. And I want to begin with just kind of sharing what are some of the benefits. So starting with just having like the tailored support to be able to navigate grad school, like many scholars might be like first generation, so the first one in their families having to apply for grad school. So being able to get support and like learning like the language and like the steps to be able to be a competitive candidate. Again, the opportunity to expand networks. We do have multiple faculty who get to mentor our scholars. So they do kind of start already kind of getting in the field in terms of that networking piece to support, their future endeavors. The mentoring component, specifically as it relates to connecting with McNair staff, but we also have graduate assistants who support our scholars' efforts in terms of, like kind of having some one-on-one and kind of creating like working meetings to ensure their goals and to ensure like their goals, but also the to-do list that they have are being completed, and kind of having that peer support since, we are a small cohort that can kind of be able to support like one another from that peer-to-peer mentorship, if you will. The other component would be the funding piece. So the opportunities to scholars to go to conferences, whether that is like the McNair conference, or perhaps it is a conference within their field of study, to be able to go present or just start like navigating and networking in those spaces, or in addition to doing actual grad school site visits to see if that school and program would be a good fit, and overall somewhere where they see the scholars applying and actually going to that school. Like I mentioned, we have some graduate preparation workshops and seminars. I'll expand a little bit further on what those are here momentarily, just as a couple of examples. But again, this would be the components that provides our scholars with the information needed for them to succeed. We do have like the variety of different exposure to research opportunities, not only for them to conduct some research themselves, but also just go into like symposiums or other experiences, whether it's like locally or like nationally, to be able to be exposed to that research components. We do also work with our scholars to create what we call a McNair grad portfolio, which essentially they start working early on once they enter the program. And it's essentially a tool that they start putting, like drafts of like personal statements or just like resources. So when the time comes to apply for grad school, they already have all these pieces, or at least like drafts of all these pieces to be able to apply for the grad schools or have the materials to apply for the grad schools, and also just like transition pieces information as you think about maybe like assistantships and funding to be able to cover the cost that comes with going to grad school. We do also offer a summer research internship that is paid, and it's not until year 2, so you don't really get to do that until you kind of reach the last, kind of like your senior year, if you will. And you do get support again through a faculty member and the McNair staff and the financial support to get you to conduct that research. Another great component of being a McNair Scholar and benefit is that this is a well-known program nationwide. So often many schools provide application fee waivers for scholars, and that's something that we can help our scholars facilitate. So that way it's like less financial burden on their pockets as they apply for those grad schools. And the last one, just long support, even after scholars graduate from their undergraduate experience and go on, we do provide up to 10 years of support to ensure, they do finish and reach that final goal of getting their graduate degree. So let's talk a little bit about what the scholar experience looks like. So earlier I mentioned we're looking into like what we call like year 1, which is usually equivalent like during the junior year of students, and then year 2, which is usually equivalent to like the senior year of students in their undergraduate experience. And essentially the format for each of the semesters in terms of meeting with the assistant director, meeting with the grad assistants, some grad preparation, like going to workshops, seminars, and then just meeting with their faculty mentor. It follows that pretty much every semester, but the seminar, if you will, social look, the meetings that are intended to connect with. And this is just going to be an opportunity to just an opportunity to be able to work on those to-do lists. But as far as like seminars and workshops, so it would be things such as like academic support, like research, like networking or financial literacy. And going into like spring semester is pretty much very similar, with the difference that now we have like a welcome back event, but also now you're being connected with your faculty mentor and kind of starting to begin conversations about what that summer research internship that you would like to join, or perhaps do your own study that you can work with your faculty mentor. And then that's followed by like your summer. So during that summer between that year one and year two, scholars get to facilitate a summer research internship. There is an actual course, which is 3 consecutive Mondays, where it's kind of like an all day where there's like an immersive experience for students to be able to like learn about like research opportunities and other resources. The month of June and July, that's when the actual research experience is being conducted in conjunction with your mentor faculty member. And then at the end of the summer, there is actual like the presentations that you get to present to peers, in addition to a research paper that they can then take on to present in other conferences, but also add to, you know, their resumes as they getting ready to apply for grad school. For year two, really that fall semester is just all about applying for grad schools. And by then, scholars kind of have their grad portfolio with some drafts of, you know, personal statements or their resumes kind of like ready to go in preparation to submit those grad school applications that are, you know, mostly due like late November, early December. And then followed by the spring semester, which is more geared towards you know, helping them prepare for like interviews, also just finalizing some funding opportunities, but also the opportunity to present at Murals, which is a CSU-based research symposium, and scholars either get to present at or get to present previous research that they've done, or there's summer research that they just have conducted to be able to get more exposure into that research component. So let's talk about how can you become, how a student can become a member of the McNair program. So one of the first steps would be ensuring that folks meet the eligibility criteria and submit an interest form. So by that, like the easiest way that I will share is that folks can just go on Google and just type CSU or like Colorado State University McNair program. It'll populate our website, and right at the top, it'll be, there's going to be a link for you to submit the interest form. It takes about like 2 minutes to submit that interest form. And definitely, like I mentioned, just looking at the eligibility piece, which I would actually go a little bit further into the next couple of slides. From there, you will get to connect with the assistant director to do like a quick info session. You will then, if there's eligibility criteria is met, you will be able to complete an application. And once you complete an application, there'll be an interview conducted by most likely the director of McNair, but it could be another McNair staff member. So speaking of eligibility, so for this one, you just need to make sure, or like a scholars need to make sure that they fit one or the other, or if they meet both. So the first piece would be being a first gen and an income eligibility piece. So for the purposes of first gen, the best way that I can describe would be that either neither of the parents or legal guardians of the student who is applying has completed a 4-year degree in the United States. So even if they have like an associate's degree in the United States, or they had a degree from a foreign country, they are still considered first gen, because that 4-year degree had to be completed in the United States. So that's going to be like one good way to be able to kind of identify if, for the purposes of how CSU defines first gen. The other one would be like meaning the income eligibility. And one of the best, I guess, indicators would be if you are receiving some sort of financial aid in the form of, you know, like grants or like scholarships, like Pell Grants, and that is usually a good indicator that you will meet that income eligibility. The other one would be if you are a member of an underrepresented an underrepresented group in graduate education, especially looking from that ethnic racial background. So do know that you just have to meet either the first year and income eligibility or be a member of an underrepresented group in grad school. If you happen to be both, then that's great. But you just have to meet one or the other. A couple other criteria worth mentioning would be that students do have to have a minimum of 3.0 GPA at the time of applying for the program, a minimum of 45 credits earned. So that's going to be usually towards the end of like kind of like sophomore year going into like that junior year. So yes, minimum 45 credits because we are federally funded since we're permanent residents of the United States and have to be enrolled at the CSU campus. So unfortunately, online students do not qualify for the program. And then the last one is there needs to be an actual commitment to be able to enter grad school immediately after their undergraduate experience completion. So the students who applied need to ensure that, yes, immediately after I'm completed with my undergraduate degree. So if that's something that is an interest for folks on our CSU website, submit an interest form, followed by, once we get the interest form, you would be asked to schedule a 20, 30-minute virtual interview with an assistant director where they'll go over the opportunities that the McNair program offers, just kind of verify some eligibility pieces, but also this will be an opportunity for you to get those questions answered. And if it is a good fit, then we will provide you the link with the application. So let's talk about what the application looks like. So to give some context, the application really kind of mirrors the steps that it would be to apply for grad school. So I guess the only difference would be that it's just maybe not as rigorous in terms of being nitpick about like personal statements or whatnot. But yeah, so there will be an online application that, at the beginning, you just kind of fill out some, your personal information, some demographic information, and then there'll be an opportunity for folks to upload different documents. So the first one being a personal statement, and really for the personal statement, things that we're looking at is, so like why graduate school, what is like, future career goals, if you have some research interests, potentially some of the schools that you're like thinking about going, and just like tell us a little bit about yourself. So that would be some components and outline of what to include on that personal statement. We would also be asking for an updated resume or CV if you already have one, a letter of recommendation, and this could be from someone who can speak on your kind of like character and academic ability. So often those individuals are academic advisors, perhaps a faculty member, or perhaps you're part of a student org and your organization advisor can also serve in that capacity. So any of those individuals would work. You would also be asked to upload an unofficial copy of your transcripts, and then a copy of your parents' or legal guardians' tax returns for latest tax return. Or if you're a dependent student, then you can just also submit like the dependent tax returns. So once application gets submitted, there'll be an interview, and really during this interview, most likely, like I mentioned, the director, perhaps could be another CSU McNair staff member that you will schedule an interview. You will be receiving a copy of those interview questions a day prior to your interview, so that way you know exactly what we're going to be like asking. But really, the interview is going to be more of a conversation where we are looking to learn more about your research interests, your goals, but also identify what are the needs that you might have as you join the program. So that McNair staff are prepared to support you in that capacity. And then you'll be provided a timeline of when the decision making will be happening based on, how many students are being interviewed during that time period. So from there are some of the next steps that I'd like to offer in recommendations. So kind of like a quick summary. So really would ask the folks like take a moment to reflect, what is my future career goals? Does my future entails like having to get like a terminal degree and going to grad school? What are my research goals? So reflecting on what would I need from like a program and what are the benefits that I can actually benefit from joining a program such as McNair. Um, So once you confirm the eligibility criteria and that the timeline works for you as far as like, year one and year two, write down any questions that you would have, just that way when you submit your interest form, again, at the CSU website, and again, you can go to Google, type CSU McNair, it'll populate, and it's also like right here, which is the aac.colostate.edu/McNair, so you can also look into that. To be able to schedule a one-on-one with the assistant director where you can bring your questions, we'll answer those, and based on ensuring that you do meet that eligibility, you'll be provided with that link to submit your application. Another support would be that in our website, we have our director as far as like some of the other McNair scholars or McNair staff, including our graduate assistants, who perhaps if you want to do like a more informal conversation to learn about the program, that will be also an opportunity for you to like look into. So with that, I just want to like thank you for taking the time to listen, but also I hope that this gives a little more insight of who the McNair program is here at CSU, some of the benefits, but also knowing that some of the requirements and kind of the steps towards the application process. And this really all starts by you submitting an info session, like an interest form, and just kind of begin from there. So there is no commitment just because you submitted like an interest form that now you have to apply for the program, but it's just more for us to be able to kind of initiate that first conversation. So feel free to reach out to us, and one of the best ways would be by emailing us at aac_csu_McNair@colostate.edu, and a representative from the McNair office will get back to you momentarily. Yeah, well, thanks for your time, and hope you have a great day.